Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wake Up with Toastmasters. My name is Jean Williams. I'm your district director for District 115, which is Southern Nevada and a little piece of Utah. And here's my co-host, Jean Danford. How are you, Jean?
Good morning. Can you hear me all right?
I can. So I have to tell you guys, Jennifer told Jean he couldn't be heard, and then Jean was typing to her to relay messages, and she called him back later and said, "Oh, people could hear you. I couldn't. My volume was down." So that was that. I think she just did it to have fun with you, Jean, because you got a good sense of humor. Oh, he. Wait, you got to unmute this time. Now I can't hear you.
No, everybody thinks I have a good sense of humor until they see me coming with a bat.
No, you have a good sense of humor. He's one of the last nice guys in the world. He has a sense of humor. But he came back and said, I need to get a new headset. So luckily I didn't order one. I said, well, let's just, maybe I could look at it. Why are you going through headsets so fast? You just got that one like 6 months ago. Because I don't know, but nobody can hear me. So yeah, but we can hear you today, Gene. So, but one thing I thought we'd talk today is the Where Leaders Are Made tagline. So I joined Toastmasters because I knew about it was about public speaking. And most people come either for the social aspect or because they know it's good at public speaking. But I don't know of anyone that seeks out Toastmasters because they want to be in management or be a leader or anything like that. And so the first time I saw the tagline, where leaders are made, I thought, well, that's kind of silly because we're a speaking organization. So I thought today we'd talk about the very basics, where leaders are made, how are leaders made. And a side note, I was at a training class, a session, and they had our banner, where leaders are made, but the table was just a little bit shorter than the banner. So when they put the banner up, they didn't realize that most of the audience saw where leaders are mad. So that was fun with that. They probably should have shifted it the other way so it would say here leaders are made. But the more I thought about it, how are leaders made? And I finally, after all these years, it finally has dawned on me. So I thought, why don't we share how are leaders made in Toastmasters, a speaking organization? And people talk about, well, you become a club officer and then you become an area director and you get better and better. Maybe you become a division director. But that seemed to be missing something. And finally, it wasn't that long ago, we had a guest on and we were talking about listening skills. And all of a sudden, the light bulb went on in my brain and it dawned on me. You start getting leadership skills the first day you walk into a meeting, the first meeting you walk into, even before you join, because you're asked a question and you're asked to give an answer, an impromptu answer, and that's a table topics question. And you start right there. That's probably the very first speaking role you have in your meeting, probably the very first speaking role you have at a Toastmaster meeting at all. And it starts with a very simple question. And usually it's a softball question when you're a new member. It could be something as simple as, well, we're approaching Labor Day. What's a Labor Day memory you have? Or we're approaching Thanksgiving. What's a Thanksgiving memory you have? And something like that. And it starts with you answering that question. And if you think about that skill going into being a manager in a company, if you're a good manager, now there's a difference between a boss and a manager or a leader. If you're a good manager, not a boss, you listen to your people. They come to you. They say, I have this concern. Maybe they have a great idea to make the company better. Maybe they just have a small concern or something they saw, something they're curious about, something that'll make them a better employee. And you listen, really listen. And then you give an answer. And that's exactly what Table Topics does from the very first day. It causes you to listen, really listen, and then give an answer in 1 to 2 minutes, a short, succinct answer that directly answers the question. And that skill is cemented in over and over and over throughout your Toastmasters journey. until the point where someone walks up and says, let me ask you a question. And you automatically think, oh, I'm going to have 1 to 2 minutes. I am ready to listen to your question. Yes. And then they ask the question and you give the 1 to 2 minute answer. And they appreciate the brevity and the succinctness of your answer. And you appreciate that they asked you a question. And then you can think about it later. Oh, yes, that's a good question. I wonder if other employees have that question. I'll address that in my group meeting, which goes back to the speaking skills. Yes, you do learn speaking skills, and you learn to speak in a very organized manner in 5 to 7 minutes. Other projects are longer, but the vast role is 5 to 7 minutes. It's almost a joke. One lady said, I knew my husband and I both were in Toastmasters because we could have wonderful conversations for 5 to 7 minutes. And it's a 5 to 7 minute speech, which if you think about it, that's a lot of time. So how many of us have been in group meetings or employee meetings where the boss just blathers on and on and on and on, and a half hour later he's repeated himself 4 times and hasn't said a single thing we haven't already heard? Or they just ramble on and get distracted about their vacation somewhere, and ramble on and get distracted about the parking lot, and then finally get to the point 30 minutes later. If you're in Toastmasters, you get a lot of practice organizing your speech, or opening a body, a conclusion, organizing it, getting it succinct, getting it in one paragraph, and presenting that speech, that topic in 5 to 7 minutes, or less if you need it. So if you think about, you're a manager of a company and you want to talk about the new policy that's been implemented. So you get it down to a 5 to 7 minute topic. You give them a book if they want to read more, or a pamphlet or a website, and you present that. Then you have a 1 to 2 minute speech about making sure you clean up in the break room after you're done because there's been an accident when somebody spilled their coffee. Then you get back to another 2 to 3 minute topic, and then you finish with maybe another 5 to 7 minute topic, and you're done. So you have very good, efficient group meetings. That's another leadership skill. Even if it's just something as simple as bringing your people together for what we used to call a stand-up meeting, where everybody just gathers in an aisleway. You talk about something in 1 to 2 minutes, everybody goes and sits down. Again, that's a table topic. So there again, now you've got 2 parts of leadership: the listening and answering succinctly, the presenting in an organized manner that people aren't distracted by your mannerisms or your ahs and ums and being distracted and all that. So those are 2 great leadership skills already, but we've only just begun, because one of the other things you do at a Toastmaster meeting is you get evaluated and you evaluate other people. So that's actually 2 different things. Getting evaluated, how does that help you as a manager? When you get evaluated in Toastmasters, whether you're giving or getting an evaluation, it's typically a sandwich approach. And that's where you tell somebody something they're doing great. And these are sincere evaluations. You don't just say something just to say it. You look for something that they truly did do, if you're the evaluator, that truly made the speech better, made the speech good, made it fun to listen to, a sense of humor, perhaps, their voice control, their modulation, something that really riveted you and pulled you into their speech. Then you touch on something that would make the speech even better. And then you finish with words of encouragement. It's just a real simple formula: what I liked, what you could do, opportunities for improvement, and words of encouragement. So if you think about somebody comes into your office, you say, Myrna, you did a really great job organizing the mail station over there so everybody could come in and get their letters and their mail and get back to their desk very quickly. I wonder if you put the baskets for the employees alphabetically, if it'd make it easier for the employees to find their baskets and really streamline what you've done. But I like that you're trying to make this workplace better, and you do, and I love that you're part of our group. Thank you. And there you go. It doesn't have to be on and on about, I know you were trying really hard, or that boss, this is bad, make this alphabetical order. And it just makes all the difference. And it's the same end result. You want it in alphabetical order, but it makes all the difference that you recognize the work that the person did already and you recognize that they're an asset to the team, and you tell them how they could be even better. And so giving that evaluation is truly a good evaluation is a good leader, and a bad evaluation is a boss who just bosses people around and tells them what to do. Nobody really likes to work for a boss. They say, I forget the exact percentage, but most people leave a boss. They don't leave a job.
It's all about positive reinforcement. If
Mm,
you come in and you say, oh, this was terrible, you did this terribly, yeah, you were just totally incapable of doing anything, what does that do to your employee? It makes them worse. It makes them perform less. It makes them not want to risk taking that on again, because you have just browbeat them to the point where they are not willing to work for you.
mhm.
And that's what happens when you are a boss, that every time you come in and you have something you want them to do better, you hit them with a club first. You got to hit them with the happy stick first. Don't hit them with the club.
Happy stick. I like that. But you're right, though. I've had, and you see it with the employees. You see it with I have been with the comments that you don't hear when you're in the office are the employees who, when you call their name, oh, let's see what Bob wants to complain about today. Yeah. Or the fun one is, well, you sit around, okay, I'll buy lunch if I'm the first person he yells at. The first person he yells at gets to buy lunch, because something's going to piss him off every day. Something's going to make him mad every day. Or, hey, let me try to do something with good intentions and really piss off my boss, Myrna. Yeah.
A lot
And
of times it turns out that the supervisor or boss is a micromanager, and they don't want to give up control or give up any form of letting someone else do what they think is good, because they want to have the control. And there's a lot of controlling people out there. So, one of the things you learn in Toastmasters is how not to be a controller. You
yeah.
let people have their head, and it's like riding a horse. You can force the horse to go this way or that way, but if the horse wants to carry you, it'll be a very much nicer ride.
That's true. That is true. But yeah, you're right though about that. I think sometimes it's micromanagers control. Sometimes it's that's how I was bossed. Well, that's how I got to where I got. That doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it good. Why can't you make things better for the next person? And that's the difference between a leader. A leader says, well, I had a lousy boss, but I can learn from the lousiness of that boss of how to be a leader for my people. So my people enjoy coming to work. I mean, I had a manager, unfortunately, not the last one before I retired. I loved working for her. I loved coming in the morning. I loved doing things that made her happy. Even when I really did something wrong, she would call me and talk to me about, because she was out of town, she'd call me and talk to me about what I noticed that this happened. Can you tell me why? Okay, did you learn that that wasn't the right way to do that? And just really had a conversation with me, never yelled, never belittled me, never talked about, well, I don't even know why I let you do this job. Nothing like that. And I said at the time, if I were eligible to retire today, I wouldn't leave, because I just love coming in the morning. I love working for this woman. I enjoy almost every part of the day. And then unfortunately, she did retire, and I got another boss, and started counting the days. And I can say that freely now because I'm out. But I started counting the days. And that's, which leader do you want to be? Because in the example I gave about the, organizing files, when employees see that you're happy with their ideas, or you're trying to help them make their ideas better, they have ideas, they want to try ideas, they want to try new things. And I've had some managers that the employees are lining up. I've got this way I think it could be better. I've got this way to streamline it. I made this form. I made this booklet. I created this. I did this. everything's about them helping make their job, their workplace better, not just their job, but all the employees' job. Compared to the other companies, people won't even lift a finger to do the most obvious things. Because why? It's never going to get recognized. You're never going to get any attention. I went to one office. I said, "Oh, I've got this job. My last office, I was working on this, and I think it would carry over nicely." And I can remember so vividly my coworker saying, "Just stop. Doesn't matter. He's going to yell at you if you try something new. He's going to yell if you don't. All he does is find fault with everything. So don't do anything, and then there's less for him to find fault with." Wow. And I thought, he doesn't even know this, because he's so stuck in his office yelling at people that he doesn't see that people have ideas and want to make the workplace better. So that alone, the evaluations, giving a good evaluation. And then the other part is receiving the evaluation. It's very easy to, I call it yeah, but mode. So someone comes to you and says, "I noticed you did this, and I was wondering if you could try this and make it better." Well, yeah, but the reason I didn't is, and just always, and I actually, Jean and I were in one evaluation where Jean said to the person, if you did, yeah, I liked this, and if you did this, it could bring it to the next level. And the person turned to Jean and said, "Wait, I can tell you why you're wrong. You're wrong." And he started telling the evaluator how wrong he was. Instead of just listening and saying, "Well, that is one opinion. Is there anything in that opinion that maybe I really do need to work on?" Even if you don't think that the evaluation was valid, you can later review it in your head and think, "Yeah, I did stand there most of the time like this, and I could see where that could be distracting. I see that. Well, if that has validity and I could change that, they did talk about me staring down too much." And you find the parts of the evaluation that you agree with, and then you think, maybe there's other parts I could glean out and be better, because I want to be the best I can be, even if it's from a person that maybe I don't like how they delivered the evaluation, or maybe I don't like the person as maybe I don't want to have lunch with the person, but maybe they have something to say worth saying that I could be better. And that's receiving an evaluation. And a good leader is ready to receive an evaluation. So when your employee comes in who doesn't give you the sandwich approach and says, "I can't work for you I don't even know why I'd bother even trying to come to work for you, because you're a lousy manager, because you do this and this and this," and then they storm out, and you just want to say, "Oh, well, doesn't matter to me." But if you think about, did they say anything of value? Did they give you any ideas of how you could be better as a leader, even if they delivered it really poorly? Maybe there's a little piece of nugget of how you could be better. So it's receiving an evaluation, even if it's poorly delivered, is another quality of a good leader. Yeah. So right away we got listening and giving feedback. And we also start practicing those roles in things like being the grammarian, being the all counter. Grammarian helps you improve your vocabulary. The better vocabulary, the more authoritative you sound. So right away, there you go. That's this. You can be present well, but being an all counter, listening, really listening. And some clubs have listening masters that find little tiny trivial things throughout the speech, and at the end said, "Which person here spoke about their first grade teacher?" And you think, oh, that was Bob's speech, or that was Myrna's answer to the table topics question. So yeah, so right away you get the listening skills. So now we've talked about listening skills, speaking succinctly, giving feedback, getting feedback. All of those qualities help you become a better leader. And not one of them is a leadership role per se. Anything in our Facebook, Jean, about it, people with feedback about leaders? Or is today one of our dry Facebook days?
Jennifer's on. She was talking a little bit about Toastmasters, and I've posted several things on our Facebook page, inviting people to come on our show and talk about their club or talk about anything they want to promote Toastmasters. So maybe we'll get somebody sending us a message next week saying, "Hey, I saw your message inviting me to come on. I'd love to be a guest."
Well, I
So,
think it'd be fun to have a guest come on that became a better manager in their company because of Toastmasters, or a better leader in their company. The one story I heard, we had Guy Dawson was on, and he tells this story himself. I've heard him tell it once or twice, that the thing he didn't imagine was that giving an evaluation helped him become a better father to his son, because he could, instead of just coming in, clean your room, you missed this, you missed that, you missed this, he could come in and look and acknowledge the things his son had done. You did a great job cleaning that. You did a wonderful job over here. Why don't I help you and we'll clean this section as well? Or why don't you work on this for just a few minutes while I go and I'll come back? And just those things, that acknowledging. And I think that that's a good trait. And for him, it helped him as a parent. I'm sure people have said it's helped them as a partner in a relationship as well, that they can look and acknowledge that the person did a good job, and then talk about things that can make it even better for the team, for the group, for the relationship, and move on. So those are all great skills.
communication, that's where it's all at. It's
Mm.
every facet of your life can be improved by improving your communications.
Mm. It is, and communication is both. It's listening and talking. Yeah. But then we get into so now we've talked about just the roles of how to be a better leader without ever even being a club leader. And then you throw in things where you become a club leader. There's things like sergeant at arms. These are the club offices. That one, how do you become a better leader? By arranging furniture. Yeah. And I wondered about that. Okay, how do I become a better leader? By arranging furniture, making sure the room is ready. What's your answer, Gene?
Well, the sergeant at arms does more than that. The sergeant at arms helps people who are going to be speakers with their props. If you have props that you need, if you want a bottle of water, you need something. That's what the sergeant at arms is there for. Also, the sergeant at arms is the one that starts the meeting, calls the meeting to order, and introduces the president. So without the sergeant at arms there, the president doesn't get an introduction.
But what
That's really sad.
But what leadership skills do you think that you honed when you were sergeant at arms?
Being prepared.
Ooh, good
Being
answer.
prepared.
Good. That's
The sergeant at arms, you could be called on to do anything for any of the speakers. Get coffee, make sure coffee's there, whatever your meeting is. Every meeting is different. Some meetings they have coffee at the meeting. Some meetings the sergeant at arms is in charge of setting up all of the microphones, and for like a hybrid meeting, they're setting up all of the equipment and everything. And they also carry the equipment with them. They manage all the supplies for the club. So managing, while you're not managing people, you're managing things. I think that's a very important job, and it's a great stepping stone to move forward with your skills.
yeah. Now that I think about it, as you mentioned it, you're right that it's being prepared, being organized. And now that we're on Zoom, you're honing your Zoom skills. You're setting up the Zoom meeting, maybe setting up breakout rooms if your club uses that, making sure all the sharing a screen is enabled, and all the things that come with Zoom that absolutely equates over to private industry and to companies. Absolutely. So yeah, you're right. That does have a lot of skills involved in it that help you as a leader. And also, or recognizing that, I think for me, it helped me recognize every job, no matter how big or small it seems, is very important to bringing together an event. So yeah, when I was in a speech contest and my sergeant at arms was the one that asked, okay, where do you want this exactly? How do you want it set on the stage? And really helped me feel comfortable and helped me feel confident, brought the things up so I didn't have to lug everything up and carry it up and set it up while my speech time was ticking away. Made me just be able to come up, make my entrance, give my speech, and do well at the contest. So it's behind the scenes people. So Gene's right. You're managing things, you're managing programs, you're learning the technology, setting up hybrid meetings. There's so many things to learn even before the technology that come with sergeant at arms. So it's one of those jobs. I think if you really wanted to learn really be a fabulous leader, it's different points, take all 7 offices in your Toastmaster club. So we'll talk about one more, and then I think our time will be up. Another job that I think comes up is secretary. And how does becoming a secretary make you into a better leader? And it was interesting. And my father always had aspirations that I would be in management somewhere. I didn't necessarily have the same aspirations, but when I was in high school, there was a whole secretarial studies course where you learn shorthand. Yes, that dates me. Shorthand, uh, typing, secretarial skills. And I said, but if you want me to be a manager, why would I take all these secretary classes? Why? He said, because the best leaders know about every single job in the company. So if you know what a good secretary does, you're going to be better at managing what you want in a better secretary. So that comes down to that. So if you are the club secretary and you learn a lot of parliamentarian skills, when to present the minutes, how to make sure the minutes are covered, make sure people approve of them, make sure that notes are made, that records are kept, all those things that help the whole team have a resource to go back and say, I think we try that. If we look back at the minutes from about a year ago, or what was that idea that Fred had, and we talked about it. Let me go back and look at the minutes. All those things that help the group. So yeah, so now we've talked about sergeant at arms and secretary and how that can make you a better leader and how that can make your company better because we're taking nonprofit skills. If you are going to be self-employed, you want to make sure to keep the minutes. Maybe you are self-employed and you're a one-person operation, but you're talking to a potential client. Now you're taking the notes, you're making sure those notes are memorialized where you can find them easily. You're making sure that when you do have the person come to your office, that things are arranged well, that the room is well prepared, so that you can then present your company in a very professional manner. So all those things help you as a self-employed individual and you as a manager in a company. And that's just two of the roles. And those are the lesser, there's no lesser role. It bugs me when someone says, well, if you don't want to be our vice president of education, you could take one of the lesser. No, there's no lesser roles. There's just different skills you learn. And each office has different skills. I've known people that they love organizing things and they like being sergeant at arms because of it. And they have careers where they organize events or organize look how much a wedding planner gets paid. There's a lot of things there. So we've talked about just two of the offices and the roles in a meeting where we can be better leaders. So I think, what if we pick this up on Monday after we do mark your calendar and talk about the other club offices and how they help you become a better leader? Any last minute things on Facebook before we wrap it up?
I just put a post on there inviting people to share ideas for shows, to volunteer to come on and talk about their club. Anything you would like to share on Wake Up with Toastmasters, contact our club growth director on his email and schedule yourself onto the show, and we will be happy to have one of our committee. We've got, I'll let you list all the people who are hosts of this show because they've outnumbered my brain cells.
Well, don't just call him because he'll put you on his day. We want you on our day. I'll tell you real quick and then we'll wrap it up. So we've got Monday and Friday, Jean and I'm your host and Jean's your faithful, we're hardworking co-host. Then we have Tuesday, which is Ken Richardson and Phyllis Tribby, fabulous pair, and they work real hard. Then on Wednesday, Jennifer, who convinced you your microphone doesn't work, and Jean Dunford on Wednesday. So that Jennifer I think she just did it just to mess with you. I really do. I think she knew she could hear you, but she had to pretend. But anyway.
Most people do turn their microphones all the way off when I'm talking. They don't want to hear what I've got to say anyway.
What? Oh, I wasn't supposed to tell you we did that. And then Thursday we have Scott Transfer, who is our new club growth director. You haven't seen his face until recently, and his co-host is Phyllis Tribby. But we do have some standby co-hosts, and one of our standby co-hosts is Cynthia Dick, who works with Jennifer at times, and I think Jean too. And another one is Anita Della Croce, who works with me at times when Jean poops out and can't come. And any one of those, we have a great team. We have a really great team at Wake Up with Toastmasters. So if you think I'd like to be on the show, I'd like to present my club and really promote my club, you can pick which host you want to be a guest of, or you could be a guest of the best team. No, they're all good teams.
I feel I owe you an apology for those week getaways that I've been doing, where I've been staying at that fancy luxury resort where you're waited on hand and foot, given all kinds of medications and
He
you
was
know,
in the hospital. I just don't talk about his personal things. He was in the hospital because he decided to get dehydrated. Anyway, that's another story. We could spend a whole half hour talking about Gene's hospital stays, and we're not going to. So we're going to end the show there. Thank you very much. I just told people you're looking for our banner and looking for my background, which is now lost because I don't have my Toastmaster one, but not my Wake Up with Toastmaster. So I think it's that intern we had that just took all the stuff we had and walked away. Maybe it's me and technology, but in any event, thank you very much for watching us. If you see us on Facebook, like, comment, share. If you would like to be a guest, we absolutely would love to have you as a guest, talk about your club, promote the things you would like about Toastmasters, your job. And our offer is still on the table from way back when. If you are interested in attending a meeting and just want to talk to us on the show and ask real basic Toastmaster questions, we'd love to have you as well.
we have someone who volunteered to be a co-host.
Ooh.
Nadia said she would love to be a co-host. So now we have someone else that we can beat around and throw
No, we don't say that.
aspersions. Oh, that's right. That we wait to show them. Yes,
They
Nadia,
find-
we can use your insights and would love to have you be a co-host and give someone a break every once in a while.
I think that would be wonderful. Okay, well, thank you. Maybe I need a break from you. Nadia, you're gonna, Gene needs more time off. Anyway, thank you very much for watching us, you guys. And come tomorrow morning for Ken Richardson and Phyllis Tribby on Wake Up with Toastmasters, 6 a.m. weekdays. Thank you very much.